You are listening to an exclusive interview on Bass Musician Magazine. The interview starts now.
Hey everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with Chicago bassist for AdvorsA, aka Grim, James Lenten.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing great. So James, as always, so that people get a chance to know you, how did you get started in music and on bass?
My father was a touring musician when I was a child. I started playing piano, went to drums, a little guitar, and then I got asked to fill in on bass for a friend's band, and just kind of took to it, and that's where I stuck.
After you'd kind of started with that friend's band, did you pursue further studies? You self-taught?
Self-taught.
How has your trajectory been? Because again, right now you're with AdvorsA, but you've played with other bands before that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I played with other bands, mostly cover bands, private parties, small book clubs. I was in an original project called Drop Mouth for about 8 years that actually did a little bit, not too much. Things have been going good lately. A lot of fill-in work, doing some recording with some friends. They asked me to fill in, do some recording on an album they got coming up, so things are looking up.
With AdvorsA, predominantly what I'm seeing is metal. Is that
death metal? Yeah.
Death metal. Is that pretty much what you're playing all around, or are you kind of diversified?
No, actually, the one cover band I play in it's Elvis Presley, Smithereens, all kinds of stuff. I like to just broaden my horizons.
How long have you been with AdvorsA?
Off and on. I was in for about 1.5 years and then left for 2 years, and now it's been about 1.5 years again.
If I understand correctly, you guys are working on a full-length album that is in progress and hopefully will be dropping later this year. Tell us a little bit about that.
We have an 8-song CD coming out. We're working with one of the engineers from Groovemaster. I don't know if you've heard of the studio. They worked with Disturbed and Seven Dust, and really looking forward to seeing what he does with it. He's getting the tracks this weekend, so it's good to go. December 8th it's supposed to come out.
When you're playing, every bassist has a voice that comes from the gear that you use. Tell us a little bit about what you are using to get your particular voice.
I'm a P-bass guy.
Okay.
So 4 strings. I have some 5 strings, tuned down to A for the death metal stuff, and then regular standard tuning for the cover bands and that. And DNA amplifier.
Tell me a little more in depth. What particularly brought you to play on DNA amps?
I was hauling around a Ampeg 810 and an SVT, and I just got tired of having to have help all the time, so I started looking into something a little lighter, a little smaller. I was contacted by a representative from DNA, and he told me to go to there's a store in Chicago that actually had some in stock, so I went there and tried it out, and out of a 210 cabinet, I just couldn't believe the amount of sound that came out of it. So that sold me, and I ordered, I'm playing through a 1350, the 1350 watt head, and a 410 cabinet.
I'm really impressed because I'm sure with the kind of music that you play, it really amplifier needs to hold its own there.
Sure. Yeah. The 410 sounds just as loud as my 810 did, and the tone is way, I don't know how to explain it really. The highs are more like piano-like, as opposed to being shrill sounding. And it's not boomy at all. One guy told me that it wasn't loud, but you could still feel it in your chest when I was playing. So I've gotten a lot of compliments on that rig. I run dark glass Alpha Omega through MXR 10-band EQ. That's about it. I keep it simple. Oh, and a Shure wireless. Not too much on the gear, on the pedals. Pretty simple.
If I'm not mistaken, you're also playing on GHS strings?
Yes. I've been playing boomers for 30 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, nothing says rock and roll like Fender and boomers.
Looking ahead, what plans, what projects are you looking? I know the album should be coming soon. Are you guys planning on touring?
We're trying to set up a Midwest tour, but haven't really gotten that far yet. We've been concentrating on recording for the past month and a half, really. So after we get all the tracks turned in, then we'll start working on seeing where we're going to go with it.
And on your own, any particular plans for the future?
No, I'll keep doing this as long as I can, really. As long as I'm able to. It's fun. It's therapy for me. It's get out, lose myself in the music, get on stage. I love being on stage, and like I said, do it as long as I can.
And if you were able to give like young musicians that are interested in getting into bass or death metal or whatever, what kind of advice would you give an aspiring bassist?
Learn your scales. It's really, death metal is very technical, very fast. Learn different positions for the scales, to set yourself up in different places on the neck. And I know scales are dull and boring, but that's where it's got to start.
That is very sound advice. Well, James, we appreciate you taking time to share all your information. If people want to know more about what you're doing or what the band is doing, the best place to look is on Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, and we have our first album is on Bandcamp.
Okay.
And it's also available any download site, really anywhere, Napster, iTunes, wherever you download music from. You can find the first album, and then the second one will be in there in December.
Very nice. Well, again, we wish you the greatest of success, man. We look forward to hearing the album when it drops. Folks, you've seen him here, coming directly from Chicago, James Lenten.
Thanks for bassing out with us here on bassmusicianmagazine.com.